stress is nothing more than a socially acceptable form of mental illness.
Hey there, and welcome to a brand new episode of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hausman, and joining me today, a brand new rock star, good buddy of mine, repeat guest, and he's the president of Vault Promotions, and I'm going to call him the co-founder of Promocations. Josh Robbins, buddy, thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, Kirby, thank you for having me, man. This is always an extreme pleasure, and I'm humbled every time you invite me on here, so thank you.
No, it's really good. Really good. Anytime we get a chance to spend a little time together, it's very good. So I want to talk to you about that t-shirt you're wearing. It's been about a year since Promocations, and that adventure has started. So now that you've got a year under your belt, what's been the biggest lesson in starting out this new venture called Promocations?
The biggest lesson is kind of a tough question. I mean, because we have learned so much, both Bill and I. So Bill Petrie is the other partner in this a crazy idea of ours. We've learned a lot because it's a field that we're not intimately familiar with. It's outside of my comfort zone in selling and manufacturing items. It's outside of Bill's comfort zone because neither one of us have been event planners or travel planners or any of that. So we've learned a ton of lessons. I think generically is where I've learned my biggest lessons, though, that kind of the lessons that you can take to any other company or venture that I do. I think probably the biggest one is that timing is imperative. So for us, learning how to run this business and learning how to run these events, although it is a learning experience, that hasn't been the biggest challenge. The challenge is really trying to find our timing and trying to find our flow. So, with this being an event business and with our major event being a cruise, we've sort of had to learn what time works for us. What allows us the most time to make sure that we get it set up properly. What's the best timing for the distributors and the suppliers and the people who are coming to this event that they're available. So we're kind of working through that. I think another big lesson, though, that's probably equally important is anytime that you work with a partner, no matter how well you know them. I know Bill, quite a bit. We're good buddies outside of our business venture together. But different people work different ways, and so the way that I work isn't necessarily the way that Bill works. And so sometimes our timing, even though we're both moving in the same direction, our timing can sort of butt heads sometimes. So I think, just trying to find a good, symbiotic relationship as far as timing goes, it has been key for us. And probably another lesson I learned on our last cruise was more in managing stress and keeping enthusiasm. So anytime that you're running an event like this, it's just so super stressful because you've done all the legwork, so you really can't control a whole lot of what's going on outside of what you've already done leading up to the activity. So I think managing stress for me is a lesson that's ongoing because I feel like sometimes when things don't go right or there's last minute changes, my stress is you can view it, you can see it, people can feel it. And so everybody wants to help, and it's not off-putting, but it's just one of those things that I have to remind myself, not to sweat the small stuff. There's a book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. Sorry, I'm turning my phone off here. And it says, stress is nothing more than a socially acceptable form of mental illness. And it's so true. It's like, I can't control that the wind is so crazy that we've got to scramble to try to find a different catamaran that day. But it is stressful. So it's just trying to keep a mindset, I think, in everything that I do that, hey, you know what? You've done what you can do. Don't stress the small stuff. It's going to work out.
Yeah. Man, that's really good stuff. And it's quite literally moving target when you're putting something together like this. And as a person who's been on one of the events, just let me tell you, amazing experience. You guys are doing a great job. So, yeah, you bet. So the other thing is like during this thing where you're launching this new venture, you're still trying to grow your supplier business in Vault Promotions. So what's it been like to try to balance both of these adventures?
it's tough. It is really tough
Yeah.
because, Vault is the business that has allowed me to explore other avenues. So, I mean, that is key. And same thing for
Hmm.
Bill, both Bill and I, we didn't start Promocations because we needed a business or we were trying to pay bills. And so,
Right.
the dichotomy, it's so weird how when I started Vault Promotions, we didn't take home a paycheck for a year. And so, we're
Mm.
cashing unemployment checks for $270 a week. We're pumping all the money back into the business. It couldn't fail. We had to make it succeed. And Promocations has been a
Yeah.
little bit of a different story in that, yes, we want it to succeed, but it's more of a passion project. This isn't paying the
Mhm.
bills, or at
Yeah.
least not yet. I mean, that was never really our goal. And we didn't do this
Yeah.
because we were just bored. So we're both running businesses full time. And so I think the hardest thing has been time management. I think trying
Yeah.
to juggle all of these different balls can be, really, really difficult sometimes. And I find myself trying to multitask, which is a complete joke. Multitasking just does
Mhm.
not exist. You either do something or you don't do something. It's like if you're multitasking, you're just not doing anything right. And so for me,
Yeah.
it's been okay. I need to schedule time to work on this venture because this does need help. We don't have a team. There are organizations that are doing what we do, but they have a team devoted to it. That's their job.
Mhm.
For Bill and I,
Yeah.
we are carving out additional time on top of our normal businesses to try to make this work. So I'm setting aside time to clock in and clock out. That's been, I think, my biggest thing. Um, right now, it's also one of those things where we have a purpose for Promocations, but we're trying to match that purpose with a stable business plan. At Vault Promotion,
Mhm.
we will accept POs as they come in. It's established. We have reorders. We have our set of customers that will buy from us. When you start Promocations, it's you're sort of starting over. You're trying to remember what it's like. Oh yeah, that's right. We have to go out and find clients and the right clients. And so
Right.
we have an idea of this purpose driven business, but now we're trying to match it to, okay, how can this be sustainable? Because the business
Mhm.
needs to pay for itself as we go along. So
Right.
that's kind of where I am with both of the companies.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Well, it leads nicely into final question about promotions. I'm just curious. When we start, both you and I have started multiple businesses, and when you start any business, you base it on an assumption or a hypothesis, right? So
Yeah.
then once you do that, you're like, okay, now I'm going to put it into the market and see if my assumption's real.
Yeah.
So what's something that you thought in advance that turned out to be true, and maybe something that wasn't true?
Yeah, I mean that you're exactly right about the assumptions and the hypothesis. I mean, all we had to go on here was an assumption. I mean, like I said,
Yeah.
it's not like we had this crazy idea or this brand new product that we wanted to sell. We had an assumption that I didn't like the way that certain events ran and wanted to do them differently. So my assumption
Hmm.
is it would work better for me if things ran this way. And so
Yeah.
we wanted to develop a company around that and give it a shot. And you're right. You learn things. Some stuff you're dead right about. Some stuff you're just totally wrong on. So I mean, one of the things that that both Bill and I thought was that we could bring a large group of people together and have it be an experience where everybody kind of stuck together. Where we made this
Hmm.
a vacation where everybody stuck together. One of the challenges, and this was expressed by quite a few people that I pitched this idea to, was that, well, yeah, but man, you're on vacation, and when you're on vacation, people are just going to go do their own thing. Sure, you brought us all here, and yeah, we'll do what we have to do with the meetings and our plan stuff, but after that, they're splitting. And I was like, I don't think so. I don't think so. And Bill and
Hmm.
I have been so glad to see that is not the case at all. I mean, this
Yeah.
when we get on the boat, we travel as a pack, and for better
Yeah.
or worse, you're around these people pretty much nonstop for the entire week. But that's the
Yeah.
beauty of the event, though, and that's what builds these relationships
Hmm.
and really makes it special. You're not just taking off. So that ended up being
Yeah.
true. So that was good. The other thing that ended up being true was the inclusion of plus ones. There was a lot of pushback on including plus ones for the exact same reason that I just discussed. People were saying, well, if so-and-so's husband is on board or if so-and-so's wife is on board, it's going to be a vacation for them, or they're not part of the business. They're going to be distracted. They're not going to talk shop. It's just not the case. The plus ones have made this event something so different and so special. You get to see who they are in real life. You get to meet their spouses or their kid or whoever it is that they bring on board. And that becomes part of the experience. You really are learning who they are as a person. And to me, that's invaluable. So that was also true. So we did nail those two things. Not true. I think is probably one of the main reasons why we decided to start with a cruise was because it was all inclusive. We were trying to make things as easy as possible for us. And from a budgeting standpoint, it makes sense because you can prepay for meals. You can prepay for drinks. You don't have, surprise bills at the end of everything. That's not true. There's still expenses in any business that you're not counting on. And so trying to rework the budget and okay, well, we didn't realize that, that hotel the night before that bar bill was going to be this high, now we have to account for it. So there's minor stuff like that. I also thought, I truly thought from the beginning that we could angle this a little bit differently than some of the other events in our industry. This is pretty industry specific right here in that I thought distributors would be more willing to share in the cost of something like this, as opposed to the suppliers that are paying for it. So I guess it was a miscalculation about who I thought the customer would be, or that we could bend things a little bit and maybe do something a little bit differently where, distributors were paying some part of this. Now, I will say the distributors who have been a part of these events, I have no doubt they would pay to come back. Like once they see, what's involved, they want to sign back up and they will gladly pay for it. We just need to do a better job of, allowing people that opportunity and explaining that it's available to them, and explaining the value to both sides of the fence. So instead of this being, hey, you're being invited and paid for by a sponsor, we kind of want everybody to take ownership in that. And so that was one thing that I thought would kind of take off that it just hasn't. We have to kind of rework that and rethink that and develop it as we go.
Yeah, and I will say, for those people, I think that one of the challenges when people want to start a business is they want to think that they have it all figured out so that once they're ready, then they'll launch, right? And so I think it keeps people from launching. And I think that's been my experience too, is like you make your best guesses, you get as prepared as you can, and then you launch and the market will tell you if you're right. So I think that's just good lesson from that. So final question for you, bud. This has been very interesting. So when it comes to starting a business, any business, obviously, you've got Vault there and Promocations, whatever. What is the best advice you've ever received about starting a business?
I received advice a long time ago from a high school teacher of mine that says, never let a day pass that you don't learn something. And although that's more, it's not necessarily business related, but it can be, there's not a day that goes by. And even if it's something mundane, it's like, man, I learned how to concatenate cells in Excel today. Like that's lame, but you learned it, and so always looking for a way to grow. And then I would also say, there was a book that I read a long time ago, and it was talking about positioning. And I think the name of the book was Positioning. And positioning is not what you do to a product. It's what you do in the mind of your prospects. So instead of trying to develop the perfect product or sell the perfect product, how do you change the mindset of the prospect that you're selling to? And so to me, that always comes back to value. So anytime that I'm talking to anybody about starting a business, it's, you have a great product, but we can all sell product. Everybody that's going to listen to this is a salesman, I assume. And we can sell anything once or twice, but if you don't provide value, you're not going to succeed in business. There has to be value there. I don't sell name badges at Vault Promotions. I sell a solution that makes it easier for others to make money selling badges. That's value. I'm selling that value. And it's kind of the same thing with the promo cruise. It's, anybody can book a vacation. You can go on and book a cruise all you want. Right. We provide value by bringing a big group of industry peers together to build relationships And we hope that those relationships bring value to each other. We're selling value. So I would say, don't sell products, sell value. If you sell value, money will follow it. As long as you're providing value, the business end of things seem to take care of themselves.
Yeah. Dude, that's great advice. I totally agree. And just you didn't ask me to do this, whatever, but I was on the first promo cruise. The Promocations thing is awesome. Those are real relationships being built. So kudos to you, buddy.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I mean, it's been fun. It's been really fun. I'm just glad that it's been received so well. Everybody that's been on one of our events has just absolutely loved it. And it's, when Bill and I dreamed this thing up, we sort of hoped that would be the response that we would get. And it's been more so. I mean, it's blown us away. So we're really excited to be able to provide this to the industry, and hopefully it'll grow from here.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. That's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.
Adios.